In the spring of 1946, a shadow fell over the quiet border town of Texarkana, a place caught between two states and on the verge of being consumed by fear. It was the kind of town where life was simple, where doors were left unlocked and the night held no threats. But that trust was about to be shattered. It began on a warm March evening. A young couple sought privacy on a secluded lover's lane, a common ritual in a small town. They were looking for a moment alone, but they found something else waiting in the darkness. A masked figure emerged from the trees, silent and menacing. Moments later, the sharp crack of a gunshot broke the night's stillness. By the next morning, the innocence of Texarkana was gone, replaced by a chilling new reality. At first, the police treated it as a tragic but isolated incident. Perhaps a robbery gone wrong. They couldn't have been more mistaken. This was just the beginning. Over the next 10 weeks, the attacks continued with terrifying regularity. 5 people would lose their lives, and 3 more would be left wounded, forever scarred by their encounter. Each time, the method was the same. The killer struck couples in secluded spots, always under the cloak of night. And each time, he melted back into the shadows, leaving behind nothing but terror and questions. The local press, sensing the growing panic, gave the unseen assailant a name that would be whispered in fear for generations: the Phantom Killer. He was a ghost, a specter haunting the town's lonely roads. Descriptions from the few who survived were frustratingly vague and contradictory. Was he tall? Average height? Did he wear a mask? Or was his face uncovered? The only consistent detail was the most terrifying one. No one ever got a good look at him. He was a featureless embodiment of violence. The Phantom's reign of terror plunged Texarkana into a state of collective paranoia. Lovers' lanes, once symbols of romance, became scenes of potential horror. The town that never locked its doors was suddenly buying every lock and deadbolt available. Gun sales soared as residents armed themselves, not knowing who or what they were fighting against. The once thriving nightlife evaporated. Curtains were drawn, streets were empty, and a fearful silence descended after sunset. People stopped trusting the darkness, and soon they began to suspect each other. The killer could be anyone, a stranger passing through, or worse, a neighbor you saw every day. The authorities, desperate to stop the bloodshed, launched one of the most extensive manhunts in Texas history. The legendary Texas Rangers were called in to assist. They set up roadblocks, conducted widespread searches, and interrogated hundreds of potential suspects. Every lead was pursued, every rumor investigated, but the Phantom remained elusive. He was always one step ahead, a ghost in the machine. Then, after a final brutal attack in early May, the violence stopped as abruptly as it had begun. The Phantom Killer simply vanished. The roadblocks came down, the intense media coverage faded, and a tense, uneasy quiet returned. But there was no closure. No arrest was ever made for the murders. No one was brought to trial. The case file was stamped unsolved, and the Phantom officially faded into the cold, silent pages of history. But in Texarkana, his story never ended. The fear lingered, becoming a part of the town's folklore. For decades, theories have circulated in hushed tones. Did the killer die shortly after the last attack? Did he move to another town to begin again? Or was he a local, someone so well integrated into the community that he was never suspected? Years later, a career criminal was considered a prime suspect, but the evidence was purely circumstantial, not enough to definitively link him to the Phantom's crimes. And so, the Phantom Killer remains what he always was: a question mark, a terrifying enigma. He is a chilling reminder that some monsters are real, and they don't always get caught. In Texarkana, the older generation still carries the memory of that dreadful spring. They still feel a prickle of fear on certain roads at night. They still glance at parked cars with a sense of unease. The name Phantom Killer is still spoken with a respect born of terror. Because the most frightening part of the story isn't that a killer was never identified. It's that he could have been anyone. A face in the crowd, a friendly neighbor, a man who lived by day and hunted by night. The Phantom didn't just haunt a town. He left it with a permanent scar, a lasting lesson that safety is an illusion, and that some shadows, once they fall, never truly leave. They just wait.